Good evening, everyone. How is everybody doing?
We're doing good.
Doctor do.
Good.
Good.
Doing great. How are you, Dr. Dude?
Great. Busy
Awesome.
week, but it's the weekend, so it's good. All right. Appreciate everybody's time. Kindly let us know where you're joining us from. If you can put that in the chat, and we'll give you some shout out at the end of the program. So tonight, Michael and Isosa, I'm honored to have them as my co-pilots. And the topic for tonight, we'll be looking at the secret of PCI or payment security career, right, within the cybersecurity field. And we are honored to have one of our own. Like I always say, at Arithmos, with the Arithmos family, we are building an army of cybersecurity professionals, right? So we can always draw for resources from within our own, right? So we are honored to have Frank to be on here sharing his experience. It's long overdue, but finally, by God's grace, it's possible. So he's going to give us some insights, and then we will leave the floor for everybody else to ask questions that they want to put to Frank to be able to pick his brain on how to go about this and how his journey was and all that. Right? So we will be starting here shortly. We are transmitting live on YouTube as usual. So we will go through our initial intro, and then I'll hand it over to Isosa and Michael, and Frank will be our guest. So he's going to give us more insight. And next week, we are also looking to do a PCI roundtable where we have, some of our PCI students and some of our past students who are currently in the field, like Frank and others, to talk about PCI and the way forward, and some of the challenges on the job and all that, and then also from the students' perspective, what they are learning, and try to see how well the PCI industry or the payment security industry as a niche within the cybersecurity field, how really to get some deep insights into it, and then also on the job, what are some of the issues and concerns, especially with 4.0 being implemented across board, how are companies faring? So we are going to get firsthand information from folks already in there working with it. So we are getting started time here. We still have people coming in, so that is why we are delaying a little bit. So Isosa, I appreciate your time. Michael and Frank, thank you for joining us. And we are going to start time now. All right. Welcome, everyone. You are welcome to Eretmis Cyber Chat. I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu. I'm your host. And tonight, my co-host is going to be Sosa and Michael. And our agenda tonight is looking at the secret to a PCI DSS career. Tips from an expert. And we are lucky to have our own as an expert tonight to be able to talk to us. So we are going to kickstart. So this is brought to you by Arithmos Academy, cybersecurity institute based out of New York, and we train cybersecurity professionals. And I'm Dr. Emmanuel Edu, former United States Army captain. I'm a QSA from a QSA company that I'm the CEO of, and then also I'm former professor at CTC, and then also Central Texas College. I'm the founder of Arithmos Academy as well. And at Arithmos, we are partners with CompTIA. So what does that mean to everybody on here? You get a 20% discount on any CompTIA exams that you want to take. If you want more details on that, you can reach out to us and we will help afford a 20% discount to you. And for anyone who is looking to renew their certifications, CompTIA or any other certifications, you can use, instead of writing the exam again, you can use what they call the continuous educational points. And this chat that we are having here, these weekly webinars that we have, they count towards your educational points. So you can use that for your renewal. And for if you are new joining us, we have a WhatsApp group. You can join our WhatsApp group. We're almost 900 and something now. It's a very good, decent group. We discuss cybersecurity topics and only cybersecurity topics. So if you want to stay up to date on what is going on within the cyber industry, you can always join. The link will be posted for you to use that to join. And then also WhatsApp has what we call the channel. So with the channel, you can also follow Arithmos Cyber Chat on there as well. If you are not part of the group, you can follow. And for our agenda 1 million subscribers for YouTube, We are at 737. Last week we were 680 something. We are growing gradually. We are getting there. Maybe probably we'll get to 1 million before October, right? So kindly spread the word. I know Cyber Chat, we go through a lot. It's been very helpful to a lot of folks. There are folks who will reach out that just through the YouTube posts that we do with Cyber Chat, some have even been able to get jobs, even on the job. Some come back to learn from it, and those are folks who are not even our students. Right? So spread the word and let the channel grow. That way, more people can benefit from it as well. And this is being transmitted on YouTube, and then also we post the video on there as well. So for tonight, Cyber News, we will open it to the public. Everyone can chime in if you have something, but there's a very pressing news that I'll talk about shortly, and then we'll jump into our interview for tonight. So for before we move on into that, for Cyber News this week, the biggest one about TikTok, anybody has some inside scoop on what is going on with TikTok? Oh, I know you've all been. Okay, Lena, please go ahead.
Well, all I know is that they're seriously considering banning TikTok here in the US, and that can hurt a lot of people who rely on TikTok as a means of survival.
Okay. I know last, I think some cyber chats ago, we talked about there's a law that is being passed or an act that is being moved, and it was getting ready to go to, I think, the Senate, right, to get approved. Anybody has any inside scoop on that one? So the premise is TikTok has to diversify or they are going to be banned, right? Now, how far has that bill gone? Like, that is what I was getting at. But thank you.
So the
Yes,
bill has passed, it sounds like,
yes.
and they have also come up to say that they are going to fight it.
Oh, okay. So now the bill is official. So TikTok, they are on, and anybody was able to get to know like the timeline. How long do they have?
9 months.
Year.
They got 9 months.
It's a 9 months. I thought it was
they
a
got
year.
9 months, and the Senate hasn't approved it yet, but they have people in the U.S. that wants to purchase TikTok, but the owner of TikTok said he's not selling it to anyone in the U.S. So we got to see what's going to happen.
Okay, very interesting news. So yes, I think they have 9 months to either sell or get banned from the US. We will see how that develops. So that is going to be our cyber news. Kindly dig into that. And this also, is to just to kind of position you in a way where now you are more aware of cyber news and you dig for cyber news throughout the week. So with that, we will jump into some of the courses that we offer at Arithmos, and then we'll hand it over to Isosa to take it away from here. So for everyone on here, for folks who are looking to transition into cybersecurity, the best course, I will say this on authority, the best course out there for you transition from a non-tech background into cybersecurity is our cybersecurity entry-level course, which comes with internship, hands-on training, and the training itself that is going to build your foundation, knowledge base, skills, and then also your abilities as a security professional, right? This is the way to go. So kindly look into that if you're looking to transition. And if you are looking to specialize in a field in cybersecurity, PCI or the payment security niche is one of the lucrative areas that cuts across all industries and all countries, all boundaries. Globally, it's a global framework that cuts across every industry. So why would you specialize in any other field that is not going to cut across all boundaries like PCI does? So our next cohort is going to start on the 16th of May, and you are more than welcome to join us for a very insightful and a very comprehensive course in the payment security niche. And this comes with internship as well. We have the expert and the expert and the specialist course. So you can start with specialist and upgrade to expert, or you can simply just jump into expert. Either or, you're going to start from the specialist cohort and graduate into the expert, right? And then we have our internship, GRC internship. That is the new cohort is starting on the 18th. And this is also for folks who have, maybe you've done some self-study, you have some knowledge, you took some course somewhere, but you're not really sure of your skill sets when it comes to interviews and actually doing the job. What I ask everybody is, genuinely in your heart, do you feel confident enough that you can do the job, even if they don't interview you, they just give you the job because they like you? Can you do it, right? This is what will help you to be able to do it, because you are going to be working on real world cybersecurity projects, and that boosts your confidence, and then also gives you the technical know-how, brings everything into a better perspective, and you're actually going to be doing stuff, not just learning, right? So this will help you during interviews and then also on the job as well. So with that, we are going to hand it over to Isosa. But I think before I do, let's give a shout out to Felix. Felix is one of our past interns. Felix just got his landed his first cybersecurity job. So big shout out to Felix. And for our interns who are doing their job placement, I talked to Felix. He has graciously accepted to join us tomorrow to talk more about his experience during his interview and the rest. So we are going to all learn from him as well. So a big shout out to Felix. And for everyone joining us, kindly put where you're joining us from in the chat. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Isosa. Isosa, you can have the floor.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isosa St. Cyr, and I'm a cybersecurity GRC professional. Today, we're going to be interviewing Frank Oay, former distinguished student of Eretmis Academy, and he is now the PCI manager. He's a PCI manager, PCI DSS compliance at Global Partners. Frank, how are you doing today?
Hi, everyone. I'm doing great. Hi, Isosa. How you doing?
Pretty good. I'm so honored to be here and very excited to be part of this panel today interviewing you. So let's just start from the very beginning, Frank. Why cybersecurity? Okay. What led you to pursue a career in cybersecurity and specifically in PCI DSS compliance?
Yeah, great question. Hi, everyone. My name is Frank Oay. I think Isosa mentioned already, and I'm just doing the introduction again. My name is Frank Oay, program manager for PCI DSS compliance with our global partners. And I'm happy to join you guys to share my experience and also to learn from each and every one of you. So Isosa, that's a great question. Wow, let me cast my mind back. Okay, so you see, like for most of us Africans, African immigrants, when we migrate here to the States, we are persuaded, if not pushed, to pursue a career in the health sector. And I should say I'm one of them. And I had wanted to pursue a career in either pharmacy or nursing. But that changed when a good friend of mine, who is also a mentor, mentioned cybersecurity to me a while back. And he mentioned there's flexibility in terms of work-life balance, and also it's very lucrative in terms of money. That's what we all after at the end of the day. So yeah, that I was very curious to know what it's about. I started looking into classes to take, and here we are. And
So how did you end up with PCI DSS? So even though you looked into tech and cybersecurity, what kind of took you down that path specifically? Because PCI DSS compliance is like a niche in cybersecurity, right?
All right. So I started as a student with Dr. Du's Eretmis Academy. I started with the entry-level class, and I went on to do the internship. And after the internship, I was, struggling finding, a job. And Dr. Du introduced the PCI DSS course.
Okay.
And so I was actually one of the first students. I would say me and my cohorts were the pioneers of the PCI DSS course.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So excuse me. So I took the course. That was the specialist course to begin with. Went on to do the expert course. Then there's the internship that Arithmos offers after that. So I went through all that training, and before that, I was after I mean, let me take you guys back a little bit. After the entry-level course, I sat for the security plus, which
Okay.
I failed on my first try. So I gave myself some time, like 2 months down the line, and I took I sat down for the exams again and I passed. So I started looking for jobs here and there, and I was unsuccessful with that. And I signed up for the PCI DSS class with Dr. Edu. And after that, I started, searching. But before then, I was actually, I had opportunity to work with, Dr. Edu's Eretmis Inc. is a cybersecurity company.
Okay.
So I think Dr. Edu saw something in me during the classes, and he reached out if I'm interested, to join or apply for like some of them, whenever they get a contract, he'll put me on to serve as a consultant. So that I was doing that on the side. So that I kind of built my experience from that opportunity as well. I took the opportunity.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
That's great. I was going to ask you about education next, in terms of background, certificates. I don't know if you want to add anything else to that. You said you took the PCI DSS course, you pioneered the course, you were the first cohort. So what other things would you say really helped you to secure your role as a PCI DSS program manager? Would you just say it was the PCI DSS course and then your Security Plus certification? Or was there anything else in addition to that that really helps you to secure your role?
Okay. So, let me start by saying this. There's this myth about being a computer savvy or knowing how to code to get into cybersecurity, which is totally false.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, you don't even need a bachelor's degree to secure most of the open roles available in the field.
Wow.
Yeah, you just have to have a good knowledge of the fundamentals of cybersecurity, which Arithmos offers in the entry-level course. I took the internship, and it was really helpful. I gained the hands-on knowledge, to be able to equip myself with the necessary fundamental knowledge that you need to get in the field. So I would say during my interview for this particular job, they didn't even ask about certifications I have, but just that in the job description, they stated that you have to secure an ISA certification and maintain it. So that was the caveat there. So during the interview, they asked if I'm willing to pursue that path. I'm like, yeah, we should want the job, of course. Everything they say, yeah, I'm for it.
Of course.
Yeah. No, I was kind of scared, but I'm like, you know what? Just go for it. You never know. So currently, I hold an ISA certification and also PCIP, in addition to the security plus. But that did not help me to get the job. That's what I'm saying, that it depends on the interview you have, being able to elaborate on stuff they ask you, and also expressing yourself well. And you can't just express yourself out of thin air. You have to know something. So the training I gained from Arithmos during the specialist course and the expert course and the internship really equipped me with that knowledge to be able to express myself well during the interview. I had 4 interviews. So
well, that's
all
great.
4 of yes, yeah.
Go ahead, you were saying?
Yeah, I said so all 4 people who interviewed me have to kind of give me a yes for me to be able to get this job. So that should tell you the kind of training I received and how I did it during the interview.
Okay, so it sounds like even though you did have some of these certifications, it was really your background, the hands-on
Background,
knowledge
yeah,
that you
pretty
got.
much.
Okay, that really helped you. So you could actually describe what you did at the
Yeah.
job interviews and things like that.
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
that's wonderful. Now, let's move on to some challenges because we know that nothing, good comes easy in life. So let's talk
Yeah.
about some career transition challenges. So tell us some of the challenges that you faced when you were transitioning from a general tech role to a more specialized role in cybersecurity.
Okay, so good question. Based on the conversations I've had with most colleagues in the industry, the number one challenge in transitioning from like general tech roles or any other field into a specialized role whatsoever is getting the right information or opportunities. There are a lot of boot camps, all over. There are a lot of, classes all over, but getting the right, one is a challenge, having access to the right information, knowing that, okay, if I invest my money here, it's going to be worth it all day. So I would say that has been the biggest challenge, but I was fortunate enough to not have that problem because I was able to get all that access through Eretmis Inc.
Oh, that's wonderful. And for those of you listening in that are trying to get, good information, because we've all spent money on things that were not worth our time and it hurts.
Yeah.
So here's an example here telling you that he not only was able to get the information, he applied it and he's where he is today. So when people look from the outside in, Frank, they are kind of curious about the daily responsibilities. So can you describe a typical day in your role as a PCI DSS program manager? What are your core activities and your responsibilities?
Okay, good question. Good question. So I normally start my day by checking my calendar on Outlook to check for meeting times of for the day.
Okay.
Then I proceed to check emails to see if there's any specific email or emails that needs my immediate attention. If there's none of that sort, I then hop on OneNote where I keep my to-do list or task and work on them. On the items I have been, there are some that I'm working on the day before, the previous day, and that was probably not completed. So I checked OneNote for those. And I've also been tasked to strategize our PCI program to align with our new PCI DSS version 4.0. So that has been keeping me busy for some time now. And I also conduct quarterly on-site assessments of our sites. Yeah, I did that this past Wednesday with pen tester of our company. So we go to sites and we don't tell them that we come in. So we show up unexpectedly, then when you tell people, they get prepared and stuff like that. So we just show up to check what is going on, check for a whole bunch. We have a checklist that we go through. So there's other things there. If you are familiar with PCI, there are some time-bound activities that you have to stick to. Like if you are familiar with the PCI by the numbers, they are quarterly and annual, and also I would say weekly and daily stuff that you need to check. So that's also part of my duties as well.
Okay. Let's kind of segue into projects, and not just any kind of projects, but like impactful projects. So what has been the most impactful project that you've worked on in your current role, and what made it significant for you?
Wow, good question. So okay, I have a great story to share with you all. So when I first started in this role, I was hired at a time when the company's annual assessment was due. So they had already engaged a QSA company to conduct the assessment for them. So on my second day of orientation, they pulled me into a kickoff meeting with a QSA company. And there I was with no knowledge of the scope of my new company. And, not knowing the right questions to ask, and also, the correct answers to give. It's my second day with the company. I'm still in orientation. So that was a bit challenging. And so the QSA company mentioned during the meeting that they're going to provide us with a checklist to fill out so they could have a better understanding of our environment. So they sent a rock checklist to fill, and I had to point it out to them that, actually it was on 2 different occasions that we are a level 2 merchant and we are supposed to fill out a SAC, and not a rock. So that was corrected, and they came back saying that they were going to gray out the part of the document that doesn't pertain to us as a SAC merchant. And that was a red flag right there. So I pointed it out to my higher ups, and so long story short, we went through a very painful experience with the QSA company, and they were dragging their feet with the assessment with the hopes of making more money from us, because with the QSA with PCI DSS annual assessment, the longer it takes when you engage a QSA company, they tend to make more money, the longer it takes. And also it depends on the size of the organization as well. So they were dragging their feet with assessment with the hopes of making more money from us, despite everything checking out. So I was tasked to go for my ISA so I can take over the assessment, which I did within like a month, and saved my organization from that mess. So this was all done at the 11th hour of the retirement of version 3.2.1. And I ended up having a steak lunch in my honor at my job.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That is, I can't even wrap my mind around that. On your second day of orientation, based on what you've learned from class, you were able to pick that up and save them all this money. Of course, they will have something in your honor. What a wonderful thing. And you know what I love about that story is that you're adding value. And that's really important, because at the end of the day, organizations are really made up of people. You added massive value. You were even able to pick that up. I'm sure the QSA was looking at you with a side eye, like, who is this person? And why are they messing up my gig?
Already know.
But you saved your company so much money. You demonstrated, which is very important, that you could do the job, and you were new there just based on what you've learned, hands-on learning. So that is fantastic. I can understand why that would be, such an impactful project for you. Now let's talk more about skill sets and skill sets evolution. Now, how has your skill set evolved since you started working in cybersecurity? What skills do you think are crucial for someone specializing in PCI DSS compliance today?
Okay, let me see. My skill set in cybersecurity or PCI has evolved significantly since I started working in the field. Initially, I focused on technical skills such as network security, cryptography, and malware analysis. And over time, I've also developed strong analytical problem-solving abilities as well. And as well as expertise in risk management and compliance frameworks such as PCI DSS. So for somebody to excel in the field, they need to stay updated on industry trends, regulatory developments, what else? Emerging technologies through continuous learning and professional development.
Okay. And speaking of PCI DSS trends, since you've mentioned that, now with the constant evolution of technology and threats, what would you say, you've mentioned a few trends, but what would you say are some of the latest trends in PCI DSS compliance that professionals should really be aware of?
Good question. The latest trend in technology, I mean, specifically to PCI, posing a significant challenge to PCI DSS compliance. I would say it includes, but not limited to these, cloud security, the introduction of cloud security, being able to secure the cloud. What else? Mobile payment security. Now people have, Apple Pay and Google Pay, all that. And remote workforce security, employees, leaning towards working remotely lately is also kind of like ensuring that they are doing what they're supposed to do, and having an oversight over that is a challenge as well. And artificial intelligence, AI, and also
Yeah.
machine learning. Yeah, I should mention that as well. The capabilities of those is also a challenge, that's trending. And let me mention regulatory challenges as well. Governments coming into it, and there's the issue of this has also been an issue, third-party vendor management issues, having an insight into companies you are engaged with, knowing what they do has also been an issue, evolving trend in the field.
Oh, wow, these are very interesting trends that you have mentioned. Now, for our newcomers, for those people that are just coming in, that would like some advice. So for someone who is just starting their journey into cybersecurity or PCI DSS, what advice would you give regarding training and preparation?
Oh, a lot. Hopefully they have time for all that. Okay, first of all, I would say you should get a solid foundation, start by building strong foundation in cybersecurity principles, including networking, operating systems and security fundamentals. This knowledge will form the basis of understanding more advanced concepts in PCI DSS compliance. And also gain practical experience, like seek opportunities like those that Eretmis provide. Seek opportunities to gain hands-on experience, like through internships, projects, and practical experience I believe is very invaluable for understanding real-world challenges and applying theoretical knowledge as well. What else? And also invest in training and certification. Invest in that. Yeah, I can't stress on it. Consider pursuing relevant training and certifications in cybersecurity, and also PCI DSS compliance. Certifications like Security Plus, CISSP, Certified Information System Security Manager, I believe that's what it is. CISM, payment card,
Okay.
PCI, yeah, all that certifications is also good. And develop, yeah, I have to mention this too. You have to develop soft skills. It can't always be technical skills that you can concentrate on. Like, in addition to technical skills, develop strong communication, problem solving, and critical thinking skills as well. I believe effective communication and collaboration are essential for the success of cybersecurity and compliance roles, especially when working with cross-functional teams and stakeholders. Yeah,
Well, that's
so
a really good advice.
yeah.
Did you want to add any more advice?
What else? What am I missing? What am yeah, understand the basics of PCI DSS, familiarize yourself with the PCI DSS standards and their requirements, understand the scope of PCI DSS compliance and its relevance, different industries and organizations. I think, and also stay updated, cybersecurity and compliance are constantly evolving fields with new threats, technologies, regulations emerging, regularly. So you have to stay updated on the latest trends and best practices as well. Yeah. I think
I
that's all
like
I have.
that your advice is very comprehensive. Yeah, it's so comprehensive. You talked about soft skills, you talked about technical skills, you talked about certificates. All of those are really, really, really important. But one that you mentioned is that hands-on. You cannot beat hands-on, the practical, where you are in an environment where you're getting relevant information, but you're also having an opportunity to have hands-on with the project and everything. So that's really good.
And
You mentioned, go ahead.
one thing that I forgot to mention is networking and also seek mentorship, building relationships. I, for once, I've, when I need help, I reach out. I don't know if Michael is on here, Mike Mills. Yeah, he's been a great help to me, when I started this role. He was already a manager with SPD, I believe. And, he really helped me. So seek mentorship and also network with people, being at LinkedIn, build relationships with professionals in the cybersecurity and compliance community. Networking can provide you with valuable insights, mentorship opportunities, and potential career connections as well. Somebody could pull you in to their company. So that's also something that, folks should look out for. So go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you. No, I just wanted to add that.
And I'm glad that you added that
Yeah.
bit, the mentorship and the networking, because when people are coming to a new field, they are like, okay, where do I even network? Where do I start? And the Eretmis family is a really great foundational for that. You can start there for those of you that are considering and that are on the fence, and you're going, okay, there you can get mentorship for sure. You definitely can get the network working bit. I mean, Frank was able to reach out to Michael, who already had that experience. It's great to be able to call somebody who can actually help you. Now, earlier you had mentioned a misconception that is a common misconception where people think they need to have all this cert or all of this education before they can actually do well in the field. And I would like you to, just address what are some other common misconceptions about working in PCI DSS compliance that you would like to address.
Okay. All right. So I think most people think it's only for IT professionals. Having a strong IT background is very valuable in PCI DSS compliance. However, professionals from various backgrounds, including risk management, audit, legal, and and compliance can contribute to ensuring PCI DSS requirements. And there's this other myth that people think once you are compliant, you're always compliant. That's never the case. Achieving compliance with PCI DSS standards is not a one-time task. You should treat PCI DSS as business as usual. I always mention it during our meetings at work, that it's not just an annual obligation that we just have to check. It's a checklist that you just check and just keep going. Nah, you shouldn't treat it as such. And people also think it's only for large organizations, which is false. PCI DSS compliance is applicable to organizations of all sizes that handle payment card data. Small businesses and startups that process card payments are also subject to PCI DSS requirements and must comply with the relevant standards. So, and it's not just about, it's also, there's this myth that it's all only about technical controls. Yeah, no, that's never the case. While technical controls play a crucial role in the PCI DSS compliance, non-technical aspects such as policies, procedures, and employee training are equally important. Compliance requires like a holistic approach that addresses both technical and non-technical aspects of it. For most staff, when people are involved, there are a lot of issues that goes on. When it comes to technical aspects, technology is not, about 80% of the time, technology is not, when there's a breach or I would say when there's a breach in security, mostly it's a human error. So And what else? Yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. That's what I know in terms of the myth that, yeah.
Okay, that's really great because we have business owners here, in the community and people who are also listening on YouTube. And the fact that you mentioned and stressed that this isn't just for large organizations, and people who are listening can understand that this is very, very, very important, something that you want to take seriously and really stay on top of. Now, this is my last question before I hand things over to Michael, and it's more future looking, more like a future outlook. So where do you see, and this is just for your opinion, where do you see the field of PCI DSS compliance heading in the next 5 years? And how can professionals prepare for these changes? What do you think?
Wow. Okay, that's another great question. So I think there got to be increased focus on emerging technologies, especially AI, and with the rapid adoption of emerging technologies such as cloud computing, IoTs, and mobile payments. There will be greater focus on adapting PCI DSS compliance requirement to these environments. So professionals will need to stay updated on evolving technologies and their implications on cardholder data security. And we have to enhance automation and integration as well. Like I mentioned, AI and machine learning are expected to play more significant role in streamlining compliance processes and then also enhancing security controls. So I think we as professionals, we have to familiarize ourselves with automation tools and integrate them into our compliance practices. And yeah, I think PCI, yeah, there's going to be globalization. I think it's already globalized, but as the global payment ecosystem expands, there may be efforts to harmonize payment security standards across different regions and jurisdictions. So as professionals, I think we should prepare ourselves for potential changes in compliance requirements and regulations on the global scale.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for that. And I'm so, honored to meet you, virtually meet you, Frank. I really appreciate you answering these questions. I'm sure I've been able to glean definitely, and I'm inspired by your story. And I'm sure a lot of people who are listening and that will listen in later have learned a lot and are definitely inspired by you and your journey. And thank you so much for being here. I'm going to hand it over to Michael, who might have questions. Yes.
I said, thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, Frank. We're definitely honored that you're here. Michael?
Sosa, thank you so much for handing over. But yeah,
that's
great job. I think you pretty much asked all the questions. And I know Frank, he doesn't want to blow his horn, but yeah, he's done a phenomenal job. Like, he's done extremely well. Sometimes he just amazes me, all the stuff that he's been able to do and what he's currently doing for his company. Like I said, he doesn't want to blow his horn, but I think it's safe to say that his company, they cannot function without his knowledge and expertise. So kudos to you, Frank, for doing what you do and helping your company saving all that money. Because of Frank, guess what? They discontinued the service of the QSA company because now they have Frank. So good job. And also thanks, Isosa. Great delivery. I'm sure there's a lot of people who wants to ask questions. So I don't know, Dr. Drew, if there's anything else, but if not, we can probably open the room for some Q&A from the group.
Hello, Michael.
Yeah, of course.
Michael?
So,
yeah, hello.
Wait, please, if you are asking a question, if you can kindly raise your virtual hand, and then we give you the floor, right? That way we don't talk over each other. So kindly raise your virtual hand if you want to ask a question. All right, so with that, I'm going to ask the first question. So Frank, you were talking about, you went through the process of getting your ISA. I think you didn't really explain that side. much like more. So what really informed, I know like your company, they were looking for somebody who was willing to go take the QXA exam, training/exam, right? So for you, they were doing their audit already. They had a QSA company who was doing the audit for them. And if you can break it down, for folks who are not very familiar with maybe the PCI space, or even if you are, why did you have a QSA since you said you're level 2 and you're supposed to fill out an SAQ? And how did that all play out? I mean, what really went on that made them push you to go get your certification, within the shortest possible time? And how did that contribute? I mean, after firing the QSA, what up? Right. So if you can break that portion down well for maybe more folks to
Okay, I'll do. It's a long story though. I don't think they are ready for that to take me.
Yeah, so we can summarize it, kind of, break it down into like the different checks. Because I think when you started talking about certifications, maybe some people thought you had ISA and PCIP before you go to the company. Right.
Okay.
But that was after the fact. So
Okay.
if you can break that down a little bit more.
All right. First of all, ISA certification is internal security assessor, and that's the full meaning of ISA. So that you have to be sponsored by a company to obtain that certification. So it's two-part exams. You take the first one, which is the fundamentals exams, then proceed to the next one, which is the main exams, the proctored one. So you have to pass the first one before you can move to the next one. And after that, if you pass that one, there's a mark that you have to pass to get that. So that aside, that's how I obtained the ISA certification. And once you obtain the ISA certification, you are automatically grandfathered into the PCIP certification. You just have to pay some extra cash to obtain that as well. And ISAs and KOSAs take the same exams, and it's the same training you go through to take that. So like I mentioned, my company was already going through assessments when I was hired. And the QSA company, they really got a lot of people mad at at my job. There were some things that we already provided. There was a shared box folder that we were sharing with them where we provide our evidence and documentations and stuff. There was some stuff that they will come back and ask, which we've already provided them. And so we felt like they were playing games, and they will come back and ask for more money, that, hey, this is taking longer than expected, and it's an oil and gas company. So they were just trying to milk them out of their money. And I was, told to, hey, we know we asked you to get the ISS certification. You think you're ready now? Because we really need you now. So I had to, do what I had to do. I just asked them to give me some time off to work from home. My role is a hybrid role, by the way. So I stayed home for like a month, studied, and also reached out to Dr. Edu to ask him the materials that I need to study. And he said, hey, the training that you went through, just study Foundation 1 through Socialist 3. And guess what? That did the magic. So during the ISA training, even the ISA, the PCI trainer who was training us was like, whoa, you seem to know more. Why have you been an ISA before? And I was like, nope. Because there was like 35 of us from all over the world, people from New Zealand, the UK, Australia, where else? Yeah, India, and I think one person from Africa, Nigeria. Yeah. So there were like 35 of us. And anytime they asked questions during the training, I was able to kind of answer it correctly. And they were really impressed. And it's all based on the training I received, I guess. So, and I think, Dr. I think I mentioned it to you. The fundamental exam, I only got one wrong. When you finish, they tell you what, I only got one of the questions wrong. And that was all the materials that I went through. Dr. Edu's material, I still had access to it, so I went back to it. And even on the job, I still refer to notes from the class that I took a while back. And I should thank Dr. Edu for that, and Eretmis team. So, well, what else, Doctor? I think I answered your question, right? Or there's more to it?
Yeah, and I was asking, so what can you do as an ISA? That was what I was getting to.
Okay.
So once you got the ISA, and then
Yeah.
what happened?
Okay.
Right? Did you replace the QSA company?
Oh,
that was
yeah,
doing the
yeah.
assessment?
It's funny because as soon as I obtained the ISA certification, they reach out to the ISA company that my company, my higher ups, I don't have the authority to do that. My higher ups, as soon as they got the news that I passed the ISA certification and obtained the certificate, they reach out to the QSA company that they are terminating their contract with them effective immediately. So I had to take over the assessments and do the relevant interviews and gather all the evidence and stuff to put my name on the SACC and also the AOC that we're supposed to submit to the receiving entities. So after that, that's when they held the stake lunch for me, because I was able to save them from a big mess. And there were fines impending because they were about PCI SSC was about to retire version 3.2.1, and I was able to save them at the 11th hour. Yeah.
Okay, Frank. Thank you. I think we'll open the floor for everybody else. So Michael, you can moderate the questions and answers. All right, Isosa, you can go ahead if Michael is
Okay.
off.
So we have Oluwafemi Greats. You have a question for Frank? Go ahead and unmute yourself, please.
No, I just want Mr. Mike and Mr. Osas, if you don't mind, to share their LinkedIn page in the chat.
Okay. Yeah, I think. Yeah, you could just search for my name, Frank Oay. I think Frank K Oay. Yeah, the middle initial is yeah, it's Frank K Oay. You can search for me on LinkedIn.
Okay, thank you. And the next person is Oyaje Omaku.
Very much, Esosa. My question basically is, I don't know if Frank is the right person to address this, but I just want to understand the path to becoming a QSA, and if Arithmos Academy sponsors participants in this program to take the QSA exam.
Okay, Doctor, do you want me to take this? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, Frank.
Okay, all right. So what's the name? Is it Olufemi Great?
Oyaje.
Oyaje. Oh, okay, Oyaje. Sorry. So to be a KOSA or an ISA, actually KOSA, let me start with KOSA. A KOSA company registered with PCI SSC have to sponsor you for the training. They have to so your certification is pretty much attached to the company.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an individual certification. So the KOSAs and ISAs, they all take the same exams and the same training. So the difference is with a KOSA, when we say somebody is a KOSA, that means the KOSA company took him to take the exams. And with an ISA, you have to be a sponsor company. A sponsor company it's not necessarily a KYC company. It could be any company. But then again, it has to be registered with the PCI SSC as a sponsor company, which when I started with my company, I had to register them because they had rebranded themselves, and I had to register them as a sponsor company. I double as the program manager / the ISA. So I had to register them with PCI SSC. You know, you just have to provide some kind of documentation like a business certificate and stuff like that. So I had to procure that from the legal department to provide to the PCI portal to register the company as a sponsor company. So sponsor companies sponsor ISAs for the ISAs, and KYC companies sponsor KYCs for the exam, but they pretty much take the same exams. So I don't know if I answered your question right now. Doctor, if you have anything to add to it.
Yes, so a little add-on. So for ISA and QSA, the major difference is that for first, they have the same prerequisites, but now it's not the same anymore. So although you're going to go through similar training and exam, for a QSA, you have to first be working full-time in a QSA company, and two, you have to have prerequisite certifications like either CISSP or SIM, right? Or and so either or CISSP or SIM, and then you have to have one audit certification like CISA or ISA, ISO 27701 lead auditor, or any other audit certification that is acceptable by PCI SSC, right? So those are the prerequisites. You have to have one managerial leadership certification, one of the big ones like CISSP or SIM, or and an audit one. So that is the prerequisite for QSA. Now, for ISA, there is no prerequisites, so you don't need those certifications. Your company can simply just take you. Now, for the sponsor company, this is the prerequisite. The sponsor company is not just any company, but a company that has undergone or still undergoes a PCI DSS assessment annually, right? So it's not like you can set up a company today and apply to, be a sponsor company and then present somebody for an ISA. You have to have at least undergone one assessment, right, as a company. So you should have been assessed, and your, assessment submitted to the card brands, and, your whoever is doing your assessment. If it's a QSA, submit that to PCI also as well. So that is for the sponsor company, right? Now for QSA, you have to be working there full time, and you have to have these prerequisites. So if you find yourself in any company that has to undergo an assessment, or that has undergone at least one assessment, all you have to do is like Frank did. If they are not registered already with PCI, you register them with PCI, and then, that will be your sponsor company. They will take you to sit for the exam and the training, right? And then also my follow-up question to Frank is, let's suppose you are just a cybersecurity professional, not really very much into PCI, or you did some self-study here and there in PCI, and you went for this training. Do you think you would have been able to pull it off within that time frame that your company needed you to be able to pull it off to save them? And that goes to Frank.
Never. Nope, never.
Okay.
Nah. Yeah, because the training, the PCI SSC takes you through. It's just, what should I say? There's a 1-day training, and there's a self-paced training before that. I believe it's 7 hours long. So you take it at your own leisure time that you feel like taking it. So depending on, but they give you a timeline to finish that. So I would say the training they give you it's like they're kind of brushing through stuff. They don't give you So I was wondering how people are supposed to pass the exams by just taking those two training course with the PCI SSC. If you don't have any prior knowledge whatsoever, it's going to be difficult for you. Yeah.
Okay, so please, you can go ahead. And hopefully
Okay.
everybody's clear on the QSA and ISA certifications.
Okay, so the next question, Shango Walker, go ahead and ask your question, please.
So much. Congratulations to you, Frank. You've done a fantastic job. I really appreciate you.
Well,
And so does Arithmos Academy.
I think we spoke the other time, right?
Yes, we have. I have a quick question.
Shango reached out. For
Can you
like an
share
hour.
some? Yes. Can you share some insight on how your organization manage third-party vendors and service providers with PCI DSS requirements, especially considering potential risks associated with outsourcing payment card processing?
Okay, good question. So, I don't really know the process that was in place before I got there, but when I got there, I started reaching out to the various third parties that we deal with, especially those that have access to the CDA and the CDA. It could be the MNSPs and other entities that have access to those. I reached out to them to get their AOCs attestation for. Now I don't want to get in the weeds of this. Sorry for the folks that I know familiar with the terms, but it's called attestation of compliance that you request from those entities to make sure they are in compliance with PCI DSS. So I've made it a point to request that from them annually going forward, and that's pretty much. And we do, before we engage any we haven't engaged anyone yet, but before there's a lay down process, the processes and procedures, and we have a team, a compliance team that review and assess any new entity that we engage with for risks and stuff. So there are processes and stuff for that.
Okay, thank you for that. So the next question is from Eleko Mugala. Could you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? I hope I'm saying your name right. Ileko, I-L-E-K-O. Could you please unmute yourself and ask your question? All right. We can take a question before they, come back on. Maybe they're having some audio problems. Lene Moore, could you go ahead and ask your question, please?
Yes, hi. So my question is, you mentioned that the PCI DSS role is hybrid. Is there a difference working on-site versus working remotely? And when you work remotely or work from home, are you able to set your own hours? And, how does that differ?
Right. Thanks for the question. So, the setup at my office is the same that when I first started, they sent me monitors, and I have my own company laptop and also an iPhone that they provided. So they all kind of sync. When I get emails on my cell phone, I mean on my laptop, I see the same thing on my cell phone. So the setup at my office is the same as home. So everything that I'm able to do at the office, I'm able to do at home. So I'm able to do that at home. And I think my company requires that. All right. I think my company requires that we come to the office at least 3 times a week. But they don't really enforce it. Like for the past 2 months or so, I've not been to the office. It depends on who you report to, your manager being able to work with you. And there's nothing like clocking in or anything. I don't clock in. So I just, nobody monitors your time, be like, hey, it's more like a big boy, big girl kind of thing. You have to manage yourself. You have to, get the work done. Like my manager mentioned, once you get what needed to be done. When you do what needs to be done, you don't have to look your back and check to see if somebody's watching you. Just get the work done. That's all that, you have to do. So there's not like somebody monitoring the hours you work or anything like that. I'm able to pick up my kids from the bus stop, in the middle of meetings and stuff. Sometimes I could be having a meeting on my laptop and I just transfer it to my cell phone and head outside and I'll still be on it. So there's that flexibility there. So there's no much when it comes to the hybrid role.
All right, thank you. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, and I have a follow-up from like Lena's question. So who sets the agenda for you on daily basis, what you're supposed to do, right? Who tells you what to do? Who sets the agenda?
Nobody. I set my agenda. You have to take the initiative. Like last Tuesday, this past Tuesday, I had to present to the CISO and the director of cybersecurity something I put together. And they were really impressed that to the point where now they want me to present to the vice president and a whole bunch of people in the higher ups. So you just have to take the initiative, and based on the training I got from Arithmos, of course, I'm able to come up with something. I manage the PCI of the whole company. It's an oil and gas company. They own terminals, and they do own C-stores, a couple of C-stores and gas stations, franchises like Subways and a whole bunch of other stuff. So you have to take the initiative to do stuff. You're the program manager, so you have to, take in charge and do what is supposed to be done. So nobody tells you that, hey, do this, do that. You have to bring stuff to them. And then there are times that they recommend stuff that you could do or you could look into, but they don't necessarily tell you that, hey, do this or do that.
Okay.
So,
thank you, Frank. So Eleko's sound isn't working, so I'm going to read the question because she has it in chat. So she wants to know if the company with an ISA ever requires a QSA to conduct an assessment, especially as a level 1 company. So the company with an ISA, do they ever require a QSA to conduct an assessment, especially as a level 1 company?
Definitely, yep. You'll need a QSA to do that. I think Dr. Edu can chime in on this as well, since he's a QSA. he
Yeah, so if you're a level 1, a QSA has to do your assessment. ISAs are only can only do level 2 to 4, right? Sign off on SAQs. So an ISA wouldn't be able to conduct a level 1 assessment. I mean, they can do it, but like anybody else who's gone through our training can do it if you've gone through expert, but you can't put your name on it, right? So officially it has to be a QSA. Frank, they had a QSA doing it because if your company don't have an ISA, then a QSA has to do your self-assessment also as well, right? So if you're in doubt, look at the forms itself. So if you look at a ROC or an SAQ, it tells you directly who can sign off on it, right? Either if you use a QSA, there's a slot for a QSA. If you use an ISA, there's a slot for an ISA. But on the ROC, it is only a QSA. So yes.
Okay.
But
thank you.
there are some. There's a caveat to that, right? There are some special circumstances and instances whereby huge organizations with an autonomous audit body, right? That is not under any of the hierarchies, like any hierarchy within the company. So an audit body that is, they do their own thing. They don't answer to anybody. If your company has that, then in some circumstances, your company can apply and opt for your ISA to conduct your level 1 assessment. But if you take 100 companies, none of them have that. So that is the
and they have to be independent. They have to demonstrate independence of the company.
So, I mean, you are not going to win with that. So you just have a QSA do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Dr. Edo, I think there's a spot where they asked if there was an ISA involved in that. So when the KYC put their name on, there's a spot for the ISA too, right?
Yes. So if you have an
ISA
ISA in the company, the
provided,
ISA
then
is going to be the liaison, right? Who is going to help with the audit. It's working together with the QSA, right? So that is where you put the ISA's name. But you cannot just put an ISA without the QSA on there. If you are not able to meet that requirement. For a bigger company with, an audit body that is not under the main company, is like kind of part of the company, but of the company's hierarchy. But aside that, if there was an ISA that helped with the audit for a level 1, then their name will also go on there as
All right. Thank you, Dr. Adu, for that answer. And Mike Anim, could you please unmute yourself? I hope I didn't ruin your last name. I'm sorry if I did. Go ahead and ask your question. Mike, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, my question would be, I was trying to understand what the company does and the relationship it has with the other companies that it deals with, which is why there's this QS. I really don't know much about the PCID thing, but I just want to understand how the company operates and what they do, and the relationship they have with the other third parties they deal with.
Oh, okay. So my company is it's actually there's two parts to my company. There's the terminal aspect of it. Terminal in terms of it's an oil and gas company, and we recently acquired a liquid energy company as well, and they are now branching into the electrical energy source as well. So we have the convenience store aspect of the company. That's where we accept payment cards, like credit cards and stuff. So far as we do accept those at the convenience stores or the gas stations. Let's say we go to a gas station, you dip your card or you swipe your card. So far as we accept those, we are obliged or we are required to go through a PCI DSS assessment annually. So there are two aspects to the business. There's the aspect where the terminals they sell oil and gas like in bulk to other companies, and there's also the business of the retail business part of it. So when you're driving around, you could see a Mobil or a Shell gas station, but then we own it. So we just wouldn't put our name on there. There are over 400 gas stations across the East Coast alone that we own. We have the company owned and operated, and we have the company owned but dealer operated. There are some aspects to it that I can't really get into it for security reasons as well,
Right. Thank you so much, Frank, for your answer. So we have Jamil Walden. Want to go ahead and ask your question? Please unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jamil, and I wanted to know, you had the training, and I know you work with Eretmis, but did you have like a moment where the imposter syndrome when you first got at the company? I mean, because things are different when you go to a different company. Did you have a moment where you were overwhelmed, or if you felt a little anxious because you hadn't seen their particular systems and you knew that you had to figure it out?
Yes, I had that. Yeah, there's that imposter syndrome that we all have. And every company is different. You could be like a program manager for PCI DSS A, but when you move to company B, their setup, whatever they do is totally different. When I went to this company, I had to learn about like gas pump security as well as whatever I knew earlier, the process that goes into security of the gas pumps, in addition to the regular retail stores and stuff like that. So I had that, but it took time. I had to learn the processes, and I would say that even though the KYC company that we're involved with kind of made it painful for us when we were going through the assessment, I learned a lot from that. So that really helped me to understand the scope and also what we're dealing with. So that gave me a better idea of what I have ahead of me. So there's always going to be that imposter syndrome that, oh, do I really belong here, and can I do this? And as a matter of fact, like before I applied for this job, when the recruiter reached out to me, when I saw the job title as a program manager, I was like, oh, wow, can I do this? But guess what? It's just a title. Like when you get in the field, you realize, oh, it's not that serious, it's just a title on it. There are people that you could be dealing with who have, higher titles, and you'll be showing them, stuff.
Well, thank you, because I have a feeling I'm going to wind up going through that. And,
yeah.
That's a
worry.
reality.
So
thank you for that answer. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that. So Candy, before I come to you, I'm going to read a question from the chat that was here first. It's from Bahrain and Diaye, and the question is, do you need prior experience in cybersecurity to work in PCI DSS?
Yes, definitely, because I will advise you go through some kind of training before getting into, especially the entry-level course will prepare you adequately for that. Because I remember my ISA exams, there were a lot of cryptography questions like key management and stuff. If you don't know stuff like this, you can't answer those. So you have to have some kind of prior fundamental knowledge before venturing into PCI DSS. I had to go through the process. I took the entry-level course, did the internship, then took the specialist course and the expert course, and the internship after that. So that really prepared me. But Dr. Du's PCI course kind of take you through a crash course, the cybersecurity crash course. That kind of, it doesn't go deep into the waters, just the surface of everything. So I would say prepare yourself fundamentally, know the fundamental stuff before venturing into PCI.
Okay, thank you. So Kehinde Afolabi, you can go ahead and ask your question.
Okay, hi Frank.
Hi.
I just wanted to ask if you could share some of the some of the technical questions you were asked during the interview. And second question is, I want to ask Dr. Edu when the next training will be coming up.
Okay. So wow, that was a while back. Hopefully I can remember. Technical question, technical. See, they were not really much more about technical. I think most organizations, about 80% of the time, they're looking for somebody to be able to work with, somebody who is a team player. There are people sometimes tend to be bent on learning the technical stuff like tools that they could use, and that somebody, Dr. Edu always says they could take like 5 minutes to teach you that. That's nothing. So it's about soft skills, knowing, communicating effectively, critical thinking and problem solving. Those are really crucial, because what I know about PCI is, and that's the painful part about PCI, being a PCI personnel in the company. Reaching out to people and getting information is very difficult, because you can reach out via email to somebody to get that information. This person will pretend as if they didn't see your email, and you have to chase them on Teams. Sometimes you could go like a week without them responding to you. So that's the challenging part. So you should be somebody who is patient enough, who very persuasive, and you should build that soft skills aspect of you to be able to work in the field. So during my interview, I did 4 interviews, and when I reached the level of the CISO, which I was very scared of, I thought, okay, this is the final and last one. I have to prepare adequately for it. He made it easier for me. I really prepared for it. And most interviews, they normally ask you, tell me about yourself. So I prepared for that one in particular. Like everything, when he asked me about, they phrase it, differently. Every person is different. They phrase it, but mostly they could ask you in different ways. Tell me about yourself. So the way I answered that question during the CISO interview really helped me to the point where the CISO said, it seems you told me everything I need to know about you by answering this question. So there wasn't much technical questions, those interviewing me didn't know much about PCI. So it was mostly about soft skills.
All right. Very interesting. Thank you for that answer. So Tiana Middleton, could you go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question? Tiana, can you hear us? Can you hear me? All right. We're going to come right back to you and take the next question. And if you're having audio problems, you can always leave your question in the chat and we'll ask it for you. I'll ask it for you. Divine from Boston, go ahead and ask your question.
First of all, congratulations, Frank, for your achievements. You are really a model that we look up to.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Divine from Boston. My question goes to both you and Dr. Edu for classes 2 to 4. Those companies, all they need in terms of compliance is to have they have a liberty of having an ISA do their internal assessment, and they are good. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So the risk that I see with that is that an ISA can comfortably give himself or his company a wrong path. That is to say, to give themselves an acceptable assessment. Meanwhile, they don't probably fulfill all the conditions. In the face of that, what security measures or what does the PCI Council have in place to ensure that mishap doesn't happen?
For that answer. So Tiana Middleton, could you go ahead and
Congratulations, Frank, and praises, Dr. Edu, for the great work you're doing here for the larger community.
Tiana?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but we're in the middle, I think, of another question. So after Divine from Boston is done, then you're going to hop in, okay?
Okay.
All right.
All right, Divine, I think I'll jump onto your question. So that is a big concern, but also if you go through PCIs, if you go through their training to be an ISA or to be a QSA, there is, I think, kind of like a pledge or something like that you sign together with, together with like everything that you are going to, do in terms of integrity, right? So independence is something that they really push. So the ISA or QSA should be independent and they should have some integrity. But at the other side of the coin, if you work for a company, you are the ISA like Frank, you are in charge of PCI, and you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing, and come assessment, because you are going to be the one doing your own assessment. So it's kind of like you are doing the work and grading yourself. For an ISA, is pretty much you are doing the work and grading yourself. So if you are not doing the work, but then you are giving yourself 100% and you present it, the card brands, they will accept it, because what you put on paper is what they will take. They are not the ones who are going to come in there to do your assessment because you've been trained and certified. And PCI hopes, you are a person of integrity, and you're also independent. Nobody is forcing you to do anything. So if your company is really not secured, they didn't meet the requirements, and you say they do, when you get breached, that is on you, right? And when you get breached, the card brands, they will be really happy to give you a very hefty fine, for you to pay. For them, they really care less. If you say you passed, that's fine. It's like me saying I have maybe like a mechanic, like a Lamborghini mechanic certificate. I did the training, I gave myself the certificate, and then now they bring the Lamborghini, fix it, and I mess it up. If you mess it up, who is going to pay for the loss? You, right? So for that piece, we cannot really regulate, or there's very little that PCI or the card brands can do about it, right? So, but they afford ISAs within the company to do the self-assessments, because like the name speaks for itself, self-assessments. So there's a reason why they are making you do a self-assessment, right? Because they don't see level 2 to 4 as being as vulnerable as level 1s, right? So that is why level 1s, they have a QSA come in and do an on-site assessment. Now we can do remote assessment, but still. So for self-assessment, and then also for PCI, like we let everybody know in the class, if you get breached, right, you're a company and you get breached, there is going to be an investigation that is going to be conducted, a forensics investigation. And there's never been a company that was in full compliance of PCI DSS when they got breached. So when you get breached, you are going to get fined. And so if your ISA is there, winging it and BSing the whole time and filling in just filling in stuff without actually checking or doing their due diligence, then it's on you, it's on the ISA and the company, right? But ultimately, it's on the company, because the ISA only works there. You can fire him, but then still, you are the company owners or the C-suite. They are going to be the ones who are going to have to pay, any fines that comes with it, right? So, really genuine concerns, Divine from Boston, but there's very little that we can do. We just hope and pray everybody who gets that certification has some integrity, and they're actually going to do the work, rather than just sitting in the comfort of their home or their office. Yes, okay, good, compliant, met everything in place, and just sign off and submit it, right? And there is that possibility that somebody will do that. But if you do that, that is fine. If your company gets breached because you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, it's on you and your company. So hopefully that helps. I think we can move on, Isoza.
All right. So Tiwana, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Yes. Go ahead and ask your question, please.
Okay. So congratulations, Frank. And thank you, Dr. Adu, for everything you do. Praises always. I want to encourage everyone to go through the Arithmos training. I took the PCIP maybe a month ago, and I did the online training through PCI Council because I had a personal timeline. I don't think you could master that exam without having the one-on-one training with Dr. Adu and going through real-world applications. I happen to have a couple of ISACA certs, and just like Frank said, there were things like key management and deeper encryption-related items on the exam that if you don't have that background knowledge, it's just going to be challenging. If you take the PCI Council's course, it times out, I think, after about 45 days. And then you have another 15 days after that to sit for the exam. So if you're struggling, trying to understand, and then also trying to schedule your exam and be prepared, it's too much. Go with Dr. Adu. It's great and convenient that they are offering the training online, but don't do it. Get the real world experience, have the cohort, and really walk through this information, because it'll end up being a rewarding career path. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tiwana. That was really good. So, Shango, we're going to come back to you since you asked a question already. So I'm going to give the other people who haven't asked yet a chance. So, Alan Berain, go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. Can't hear you very well. Could you say that again, please?
I say thank you. Thank you for giving me the chance. I want to say, Frank, congratulations. I remember you talk about on our graduation. I have two questions for you. The first one is, I just want to take you back a little bit. I know you took the entry-level course, so you're struggling to find a job. And then my second question is what was the drive, to go to study PCI DSS, and then also how long it took you? Thank you.
I didn't get a first question. Well, what was the first question again, please?
I think I put it together. Yeah, I know you took the entry-level course at the beginning, and then you're struggling to find a job, and then immediately you change course to take PCI DSS. What is the drive to take the PCI DSS, and then overall how long it took you to get to finish and then find a job?
Right. Thanks for the question. So PCI is a very lucrative niche in the in the cybersecurity field, and there's no, companies are struggling to, fill open roles, and there's not that many, qualified personnel to fill these roles. So I figured, why don't I branch into that and test the waters to see if I can land a job in that field. So pretty much that was the drive. And also based on Dr. Edu's encouragement through cyber chats and other engagements. That's pretty much about it. And guess what? I took the right decision, and it's very yeah, they pay good.
Awesome. So our next question is good luck, Ibebe. Could you please ask your question?
Oh, okay. Hello everyone. My name is Good Luck Ibebe, and I will say a big congratulations to Mr. Frank. And my question goes like this. So sometimes I wonder sometimes after I'm into the PCI DSS expert. I wonder how were you able to during your interview? How were you able to, because most of the time they ask, they will put in 5 years experience, and then when they go through your how were you able to go through answer the question about your years of experience, what you have done in previous companies as far as PCI DSS is concerned, and like your day-to-day job in your previous job? How were you able to maneuver through those questions during the interview?
Okay. So I had a lot of interviews prior to this job, and each interview kind of built me up. I developed the habit of recording all my interviews, and I will listen to it over and over again to kind of better myself on the next one. And each interview that I had, like when it gets to the third or the fourth one, where now let's say that after the second one where I know it's getting somewhere, I reached out to Dr. Edu. I booked an appointment with him for him to coach me on, we go through the job description, and he's very kind and willing to help. So we go through it. I didn't want to bother him all the time unless I knew it's getting somewhere. So I reach out to him, book an appointment with him, and he will walk me through the job description, and also if I have to tailor my resume to that particular job, I'll go ahead and do that. So most interviews, they will have your resume in front of them, and all the questions, if not most of it, comes from the resume you presented to them. So they're going to ask you questions based on the resume you presented to them. So my advice is you should know the ins and outs of the resume you presented, know every line, every bulletin, whatever you put on there, know it very well to be able to, express yourself and elaborate more on whatever they ask you on, and the training I received from Arithmos, both through the course and the internship, kind of equipped me with that knowledge to answer the questions that I was asked during the interviews. So the training itself is pretty much the experience that you get. And then again, I was able to get opportunity to work with Dr. Edu's company whenever, they get a contract whatsoever. So that gave me also the experience as well.
Okay, thank you. So Ashanga Walker, go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you so much. And let me thank Dr. Du real quick for putting Frank on as a guest speaker. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Dr. Du, at this academy. Frank, as a PCI manager with Global Partners, how large is your team? And how do you track progress and identify areas for improvement with your organization?
Wow, good question. I was waiting for somebody to ask that. And guess what? It's a really big organization, and it's a Fortune 500 company, and I'm the only PCI guy there. They just added me to the InfoSec team, information security team. So when it comes to PCI, I'm the go-to guy, and I'm my own team. I don't have like a team that works with me. So Dr. Edu always say I'm being underpaid. He said, so yeah. Yeah, pretty much I'm my own team. I got my eyes everywhere, and from sometimes they hit you up, hey, we need this done, we need that done, and I'm pretty busy with work, so I don't have like a team. I'm just my own team. Hopefully in the near future, I'll recommend. I know it's about my pay grade, but I might recommend that, hey, the work is too big for me. I need more hands on deck.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Frank, for that. Dr. Adudu, can we take some questions from the chat?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally.
All right. So Stephen Kinga wants to know what's the average starting salary for first PCI DSS analyst? What is the average starting salary for first PCI DSS analyst?
I would say depending on the size and the scope of your organization, you shouldn't go below 150K for PCI field. They need people, and I mean, unless of course I'm very new to it. If that's the case, don't go below 130K. I mean, I don't know what Dr. would say, but yeah, don't sell yourself short. Later on, you're gonna realize that I should have asked for more. Because they budget for a lot. And I know people in the field making over 180K or 200K for being PCI manager or some sort. So yeah, don't sell yourself short. And the training that you receive from the Arithmos, it equips you to the point where you even know more than some people who have been in the field for like 5 years, 8 years, and you hear them speak and you're like, what is he saying? People get in the field and get comfortable. They don't, study to enhance their knowledge and stuff. They just get comfortable, and whatever they knew from previously, that's what they kind of depend on. So If you should know yourself, know that, hey, this is what I know. So don't sell yourself short. I would say that. So when it comes to figures, the figures I gave you, look into that.
Okay, thank you. So we have Malachi Zimmerman. We have a few questions here. So the first one, what does Frank, what do you think helped you get the interview with the company?
So what should I say? I think I got lucky though. I always thank God for that because I got lucky. The way I got this job, the recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn, to the point where he even asked me if I can tailor my resume. The resume I presented to him, he got back to me and asked if I can tailor it to, the job description. And not many recruiters will have that time. They have a lot of people that they're dealing with. So I guess, the favor of God was on me then. So, just put in, more applications and you don't sit back and just relax that the job is going to come to you. That's what I'm saying. I got, I was applying and applying, but guess what? This job just came to me. The recruiter just reached out to me. But that's not always going to be the case for everybody. Everybody's different. There are some people who apply for 30 jobs a day and, before they get a hit.
Yeah.
So before it comes to you, it might not be me, it might not be lucky. You have to work hard for yours. So don't just sit there and wait for the opportunity to come. You should work for it. Because before then, I was applying for a lot of jobs and I wasn't getting it, but I had it a different way.
All right.
All right, and I think I want to add to this. So maybe probably Frank also forgot about something that he said earlier, not to me and I think Michael. So a while ago, I think during the one of the job placement for the PCI folks, Frank was there to also talk about his job and stuff, and then he said probably he forgot that he revamped his LinkedIn. After which,
I forgot.
so if your LinkedIn has no picture or your picture is not really up to speed, and you are treating your LinkedIn anyhow, then everybody will look at it anyhow. Right? So you make sure you are going back to your LinkedIn, you are polishing it up, change the picture, make it look more presentable. Spice it up, right? Like your tag by your name. If you are a PCI qualified person, let it be known, put it on there. So there's a lot that you can do on LinkedIn to attract, because recruiters are constantly on LinkedIn, searching for potential people that they want to bring on into their companies. So if you're LinkedIn, if everybody on here, if you're a recruiter and you chance upon a LinkedIn page that has no picture, I don't think anybody will reach out to that person. Or the picture is they just put it on there because they are required to put a picture on there. You're probably going to pass, right? So maybe Frank is being a bit modest, but luck plays a role, but luck does not play a role in a vacuum. You have to force the hand of luck for it to work for you. So.
Good one.
And Dr. Edu, I should add to that. Somebody told me that when you add open to work to your profile on LinkedIn, it doesn't send a good message to potential recruiters. I don't know how true that is.
That was me. You look desperate if you put open to work on your LinkedIn.
Oh, okay. So I figured when I took it off, I started getting hits before I got this job. So that's a bit of advice to what's on here as well.
Nobody wants to marry a woman or a man who goes about shouting, "I need a wife or husband." Right? You don't have to be that desperate. No, yes, we know you are looking for a job. Why put a big sign on your forehead? I'm looking for a job.
Okay.
And even that, when you are fortunate enough to negotiate salary, you're gonna sell yourself short because you look desperate and they won't pay you what you deserve. So that's also something that you should keep in mind.
Yes, of course, because currently you are working, but maybe you're looking for a different role or like a PCI role, or and you put looking for a job. It means you are not working. That is what tells what I pick from. I'm open to work. It means you've not been working for the past how long? No, nobody wants to work with somebody who's not been working for the past that long. Right? So we know you are looking for wives and husbands in terms of job, but don't be that desperate with a big sign. I'm open. Anybody looking.
And also the pictures you put on there, I've seen some people put flyers and stuff. It has to be like a professional, you're selling yourself to potential employers. So it has to be a professional picture. Some people will put their full body there and they're far away, their face will not show, and all that, comes into play. So if you can spend a little bit of money, go to the studio, get a professional headshot, that will also help. Like you're selling yourself to the company that, hey, this is what I'm about. So that attracts a lot of recruiters and potential employers as well.
Okay, great tip. Thank you so much for that. Next question is, Frank, what did you do to prepare for your interview? I know you touched upon this, but what did you do to prepare for your interview with your company?
Okay, I reviewed, like I said, I was recording most of the interviews I've had previously. So I listened to some of them. And also I note down like potential questions, questions could come from anywhere, any angle, but you should master, most especially like, tell me about yourself. That's about 80% of the time comes up because everybody wants to get to know you before they interview you, what you're about. Dr. Edu always train us on that. And I was attending Dr. Edu's job placement assistant. Is it a course or assistance program? I mean, webinar every now and then, and I pick up a few tips from there too, and that helped a lot.
Okay, awesome. Next question. This is a little lengthy, so bear with me. Outside of conducting interviews to ensure responsible personnel are implementing relevant controls and to bring awareness, etc., and creating a roadmap of controls to be implemented within specified timeframes, what other duties does your role include?
My role includes, beside those, I do all that that was mentioned. I also do on-site assessments, like I mentioned, and I make sure I reach out to third parties for to make sure they are in compliance as well. There are tools that I use. I work to monitor the various retail stores. There are timely obligations that they have to abide by them. We have store managers, and we have territorial managers, and we have regional managers, and they all have a duty to provide some sort of information on the portal. It's called Zenput. So every now and then, all the stores managers, they report to the territorial managers, and the territorial managers reports to the regional managers. So they all put stuff on the the Zenput app. And it's a tool. It's more like a GRC tool.
Okay.
I'm able to monitor their compliance and the training that the store collects and all the employees take. It aggregates everything for me. So I keep my eyes on that as well, because I can't be watching all these stores at once. So that kind of put everything in front of me, and I'm able to generate a report from it, and even move it over to Excel. And I don't know if I mentioned this. For PCI, we have to conduct quarterly scans, ASV scans. So we use Qualys as our ASV scan. So I obtained the current IPs, external IPs, retail IPs from the network folks, and upload it into the Qualys portal that we have. So we send it over to them quarterly, and they send us a report on the scans as they they send us a scan report, and those reports are the ones that we intend send to the receiving entities. So that's also part of my duties as well. And what else? Yeah, pretty much, like I said, 4.0 just came up, so I'm in charge of revamping the company's PCI compliance to align with the new 4.0 version 4.0 as well.
Okay.
So that's something that I'm working on.
Okay.
So hopefully that answers the question.
Well, thank you very much for that answer. So Kenda wants to know if PCI DSS jobs are in high demand, and also what job sites can you look for one? Are there any recruiting agencies that you could recommend? So are PCI jobs still in high demand? What job sites can you look for one? And are there any agencies or any recruiting agencies that could be recommended?
Yeah, they are really in demand, but the challenge is finding a particular website to find those jobs. And sometimes the title could be a PCI job, but the title is different. The wording is different on there. So I think the PCI did a great job by introducing that. I don't know if Dr. Edu could attest to that. The job, is it the job portal? I forgot the name. They have on their website.
Yeah, they have a job board.
Job board, yeah, job board. That's
Yeah,
what
like they post PCI jobs on there, right?
That's
I think like they just brought that up. So companies are yet to, they are patronizing it, but they are still picking up speed, a little here and there. But I think for the most part, everybody posts in the normal job board that we have.
LinkedIn.
Yeah, so LinkedIn and the rest, Glassdoor, Indeed, ZipRecruiter.
But sometimes just look through the job descriptions, because sometimes the title might not say PCI specifically, but when you look through the job descriptions, it's in there. So
okay,
that's another.
And also let me add the best one, right? That also makes it easier. Google.
Okay.
If you go on Google right now and you type maybe PCI jobs in New York, it'll bring every single one on all the job boards. So it makes it easier for you. And then the trick to it also is this: when you do find a PCI job, or you do find any job on any of these, job sites, like even if on LinkedIn or ZipRecruiter or any of those, when you see the company, go directly to the company's website and apply there.
Okay.
Don't apply through these third parties, because mostly what happens is that there are recruiting companies that will, that are going through these companies' websites. They will pick the job description and they will repost it on Indeed, LinkedIn, Dice. Now, when you apply, the application comes to them. They will vet you, and if you are able to go through their screening, so you do at least 1 or 2 interviews with them, when they think you are good enough, then they'll present you to the company, right? And when the company do move forward with you and you get a job, they get paid. So sometimes all that hustle of going through the recruiter's interview, if they are not working for the company and they are a private recruiting firm, doesn't guarantee you the job. But meanwhile, if you did that interview with the hiring manager from the company, probably you would have gotten the job or gotten to the last stage of the interview. So that is a way to cut some of the middlemen in there. Hopefully that helps.
All right. Great tip. Thank you, Dr. Edu. So we have the next question. Does Eretmis do CV review after the training? So CV, I guess that's the resume review after the training.
Yes, we do. We do job placement, so that includes your resume, and then also for the students, they are given opportunity to do one-on-one sessions for job placement. So we go through your resume individually, and then also for interview prep and all that you have that one-on-one Zoom meetings. So yes, that is done.
Okay. Next question. Dr. Adu, what's the difference between a PCI DSS assessor and a PCI DSS security engineer, if any?
Okay, so for PCI security engineer, it's just a job title. You can also be, that person can also be a PCI specialist or a GRC compliance analyst or manager, slash PCI. So the job titles, the companies, depending on how they want to look at it. But a PCI assessor, just an assessor, then you are referring to PCI DSS assessor, you are referring to either an ISC or QSA, right? So an assessor can be a QSA. So I know for some jobs also, they were just going to put on their PCI DSS assessor.
Did you close the door?
It is just a job title, right? So mostly within the PCI space, just like other, job titles within the cybersecurity space, they have to put a title to the job, right? So whatever they think is appropriate. So you can be a cybersecurity analyst in company A, doing the third-party risk analyst job, right? Somebody can be a third-party risk analyst, or somebody can be a cybersecurity engineer in company B, and what they are doing is a cybersecurity specialist job, right? So the moral of the story is you have to know your stuff. The job titles don't really matter. We've had students, I think like Venice is a good example. A company got acquired by a different company. A job title moved from information assurance special analyst to information assurance specialist or cybersecurity specialist. Guess what changed? Nothing. It was doing the same thing in a different job title because the company's changed. So you have to, if you know your stuff, you have the practical hands-on, you've done internship, you've worked on projects, you are confident you'll be able to work in any of these roles because the job titles, they are just, sometimes when it comes down to it, they are just job titles.
All right. So someone in their Samsung is asking, what is the relationship between PCI and GRC?
All right, and I think I'll take that. So for GRC, is a broader area of cybersecurity, which includes PCI. PCI falls under GRC, right? GRC, governance, risks and compliance. And PCI falls under all three: governance, risks, and compliance. And specifically, sometimes when it comes to the auditing part, we just push it under compliance. But also there are a lot of things within PCI that is helping with risk management and then also with governance as well. So PCI falls under, it's a subset of GRC if you want to look at it.
Okay. So Duma Idrisu wants to know, how long normally does it take you to complete the SAQ?
For our SAQ, it depends. Roughly, it takes at least 3 to 6 months, right? 3 to 6 months. Depends on, like Frank was saying, mostly if you have an ISA in the company or somebody, a PCI person in the company who is really doing a good job and they've done their internal assessments, they have everything lined up, then it's going to take you less, let's say 3 months. And then also the size of the company and the scope also will play a big role. But at least, 3 to 6 months. I know some companies, very huge ones, it can take almost 8 months. So they start way ahead of time. That way they'll be able to go through all the different pieces. So by the time the assessment is due, they are almost done. So that is the average time frame for assessment to be done.
Okay. Felix B wants to know, how was your first week on the job like? Fireworks, I think.
I think I mentioned it earlier, but yeah, I'll go over it again. Yeah, the company was going through an assessment already, and they had engaged a QSC company. And I was on my second day, I was the orientation was 3 days. So on my second day, I was pulled into a meeting a kickoff meeting with a KYC company to sit in, even though I didn't know anything about the company, the scope, and what the company, is about. I learned a little bit on their website before I got on the job, but that's about it. So first week was rough, and somebody mentioned the imposter syndrome was there too. There I am as a program manager, but I don't know much. But there were times that I feel like, damn, can I do this? Because I didn't know it was that huge of a company, so I got in. So the first week, it was just studying the environment and knowing what I have to do.
Okay. So this is our last question. Are you asked, this is from Annie Stacy, are you asked to talk about other frameworks during your interview?
Not necessarily. I think you should have a working knowledge of like NIST and other stuff. They expect you to, in the field of cybersecurity, you should be knowledgeable about those frameworks. They can actually be like, nope, I don't know anything about or never heard of it. You should, that's how you have to continually be learning and also studying. The fact that you're a PCI subject matter expert doesn't mean you should just stick to PCI stuff. You should learn other stuff as well. I quite remember during the ISA exams, there were some questions about NIST on there, so you have to be all around. So don't just, so part of the reason of attending Cyber Chat is also, to learn some of these. You don't necessarily have to pick up a book and learn these frameworks. Attending seminars like this also help you to kind of, know something about some other frameworks, even though you don't have to deal with them. Yeah, there are some interviews that I was able to answer questions based on memories from Cyber Chat. So yeah, that also helps. You should be, knowledgeable about a whole bunch of stuff. Don't just stick to one part of something.
Okay. Shanga Walker, is this a new question or I see your hands up? You want to go ahead and ask your question?
Yes, this is one more question. I promise you I'm going to leave everyone alone. Frank,
You're fine.
you have Frank, you have went from PCI manager, you went from not knowing anything about cybersecurity to knowing about cybersecurity, to joining Arithmos Academy. You've joined Dr. Drew's cybersecurity entry-level course. You went through it. You did the PCI course, the internship, you went through it, specialist and expert, and now you are a PCI manager at Global Partners. Please tell me how you feel. How do you feel about that?
Wow, I feel great. And the money is good too. I'll mention that as well. Now, yeah, so yeah, I feel great. I feel accomplished and I feel like there's more to do. I'm not stopping there. Who knows the next level. So yeah, I'll keep learning and improving, and also learning from folks like you and my colleagues. Sometimes when you network, I'm the kind that I don't feel like I know it all. I'm always willing to learn from others, no matter what. Dr. Edu has put me in charge of being a mentor of some cohorts, and I tend to learn much from them as well. There were some insights in some meetings that I was on, and they were sharing some stuff that I'm like, oh, okay, that's good to know, So yeah, I feel like I've accomplished a lot, but there's still room for improvement and there's more ahead. I want to be like Dr. Edu, also pass him in the future.
All right, Dr. Odu, over to you.
All right. Appreciate everybody's time. So great insight, Frank. We are honored. Thank you very much. And we are going to continue to, assist and also learn from you and have you come in and help the Eretmis family as much as possible. And so I appreciate your time, giving us your Friday night, going through all these questions, and we like taking you through like you are in an interrogation room, but you you took the time to explain everything to us. So Frank's LinkedIn has been posted. You can kindly reach out. That is the best part about what we do at Eretmis Family. It's about networking. We are a family. You can reach out for help if needed, and everybody on here is very supportive and willing to help. Right? Frank has gone through the journey. He has, picked up some few tips and tricks up his sleeves that you can also learn from. Right? And if you're also working in a PCI role, you can always collaborate. There are like whatever strategies and tools he's using, he can, lend that to you. You can, cross share, products that you are using for your company in terms of strategy. And my last question to Frank is, what is the most soft skill, like what soft skill do you use? Just name one that stands out, or that has helped you throughout your journey up to this point, especially within the PCI space. What soft skills really is so much, that you cannot really do away with, that without that you wouldn't be able to function, right? That has so much value that you cannot do away with.
All right, being a team player, Dr. Edu, you got to be a team player and you got to be patient because, like I mentioned, getting information from various stakeholders is tough sometimes. Some people pretend not to even see your emails, and it becomes challenging. So you just got to be patient, be a team player as well, and be able to work with people and be persuasive, getting the right information from people and interviewing them. And you have to uphold a good ethical behavior. Well,
all right. Okay, Frank, we much appreciate your time and your effort. Isosa, you've been a great and wonderful co-pilot. And Michael, thank you for also helping with tonight's cyber chat and collaborating with.
Somebody's hand is up. All right.
Say that again.
I saw somebody's hand is up. So.
Oh yeah. Mike, please go ahead. So whilst Mike is, we are looking at Mike. Isosa, if you can do me the honors and give some shout out to folks who put where they are joining us from in the chat, and we'll wrap it up.
All right.
Hi, Dr. Eddie.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yes, I just wanted to ask if I can have 1 quick minute with you after the meeting, if you don't mind.
That has to be probably tomorrow. I have a meeting right after this.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So you can shoot me a text if you want, and I'll take a look at it.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Please go ahead, Susan.
All right, we're going to shout out those of you that put where you're from in the chat. Nicole Wilson is from Atlanta. Evans Nar is from Minnesota. Daddy Balawe is from Maryland. Adeko K is from Atlanta. Esosa is from Atlanta as well. Let me throw that in there. Eleko is from Lake Bluff, Illinois. And Orpheus is from Atlanta. Atlanta is represented today. Yeah. Andrew Osafo is from Chicago. Adekoke, Atlanta. Oyaje is from Ottawa. Evans, Minnesota. Loud Bampton is from London. Andrew Safo is from Pittsfield. And Alam is from Bowie, Maryland. Stella is from California. We have Serpon from New Jersey. Tashi's from Houston, Texas. We have Renee from Virginia. Felix B is representing Dallas, Texas. Jason is representing Saitama, Japan. Oluwafemi is from Long Island, New York. Tony is from Dallas, Texas. Sandra, Nelly, New Jersey. Sabrina, Anchorage, Alaska. Walter Bonini is from Old Bridge, New Jersey. Okay, Fierce is from Atlanta. And let's see, I think that is it. Aheza is from New Jersey, or Ransford from Dallas, Texas. Susanna from Columbia, Maryland. Charlemagne, Nashville, Tennessee. And that's it.
All right.
Shout out to all of you.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who put the allocation in there. I appreciate everybody's time. So we are wrapping up. Appreciate you, Frank, always. And we are going to bring you back next week together with other PCI folks on the job to do a PCI roundtable, talk more about PCI.
Thanks for having me, Dr. Edu. I'll be traveling next week, but it depends on the time when
okay.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay, so like there'll be a panel of I think 4.
Yeah.
So if you are
I'll
not
let you
able
know
to
if I'm
join,
able
then
to join. Yeah.
we will have still like replace you with like somebody. At least we will get 4. 5 will be too much, so 4 will be the roundtable for PCI. So we appreciate everybody's time. We are wrapping up for tonight. Have a great weekend, everyone. And like I always say, I hope you were able to get something for your $2 tonight. And like Frank was saying, we do this chat to help promote cybersecurity within our community, and then also for everybody, this is continual, like a continuous learning process for you, right? It'll amaze you where you'll be able to draw some of the knowledge you are gaining from here on the job and during interviews or anywhere that you find yourself in, any professional setting. So we appreciate everybody's time. Thanks for supporting Arithmos, and also for YouTube, kindly share our YouTube link. Let's push to 1 million subscribers, and we are going to do a party after we hit 1 million subscribers. All right, everyone, have a great weekend.
Thanks, Sosa. Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Dr.
Thank
Edu.
you. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Meet again next week. Have a great weekend, everyone.
So thanks.
Thanks. Bye.
Good night.